Why did Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, marry Khadijah? How old was Prophet Muhammad when he married Khadijah? Was Khadijah the first wife of Prophet Muhammad? What was the age difference between Prophet Muhammad and Khadijah? All answers to all these questions are in this video. So watch this video until the end, as there are interesting events and stories will be shown. So let's go directly to the details of today's story. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If this is your first time in this channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Khalil, and through this channel I work on correcting the misconceptions about Islam. So let's go to our today's story. The Prophet Muhammad spent 8 years herding sheep, starting at a young age until he reached the age of 15. Then he began working in trade with his uncle Abu Talib. He traveled with him on trade journeys to Syria and Yemen, learning the principles of trade, the art of dealing with people, and the nuances of the business. For 7 or 8 years, he worked with his uncle, despite the fact that Abu Talib trade was modest, perhaps due to a lack of capital, leading to limited profit that barely covered the needs of his household. One day, Abu Talib suggested to Muhammad that there is a woman in Quraysh named Khadijah bint Khuwaylid. She is from a noble and wealthy family and conduct successful trade. Why don't you go and work for her? This way you can establish your own work and increase the income for both of us. The Prophet immediately agreed. But wait. Did the Prophet agree to work for a woman? Did he agree to have a woman as his boss? Yes, he agreed. And why not? What mattered was that he would work sincerely and deal with his new employer with respect and within the bounds of decency and the ethics of work. Abu Talib went to Khadijah and offered her his nephew's services, and she accepted. The agreement was that Khadijah would provide the capital while Muhammad would travel, purchase and sell the goods, with Khadijah giving him a share of the profits. Khadijah was not an ordinary woman in business. She was smart and perceptive, well versed in the ways of commerce. To test the Prophet's ability, she sent him on 3 trial trade trips to Yemen with a modest capital and a trusted servant named Maysara, who had been raised by Khadijah. Maysara's role was to observe the Prophet. Khadijah wanted to know, could Muhammad handle the responsibilities of the trade? Would he be trustworthy with her money and diligent in managing her business? And how was his style on trade? After these 3 trips, Maysara returned to Khadijah with a glowing report saying, in addition to being an excellent businessman, I have never seen a man like him in honesty, trustworthiness, or dedication to work. He stands out in his commitment and diligence. Impressed by the Prophet's honesty, morals, and hard work, Khadijah sent him on a larger trade journey to Syria. This time, she instructed Maysara to keep a closer watch on him. Typically, traders would stay in Syria for a week, 2 weeks, or even a month to sell their goods, regardless of their negotiating skills. To Khadijah's surprise, Muhammad sold all his goods even before reaching Syria and bought new goods, returning to Mecca in a remarkably short time with double the profit. Now we come to Maysara's observations. Besides the Prophet's exceptional character, honesty, and intelligence, Maysara noticed something extraordinary during the journey. A cloud constantly followed Muhammad. At first, Maysara thought it was a coincidence, but one day, to confirm, he suggested they race on horseback. To his amazement, the cloud never left Muhammad's side, shielding him throughout the race. When they returned to Mecca, Maysara recounted all these events to Khadijah. He also shared a significant incident. During the journey, a merchant tried to negotiate with the Prophet, and after much debate, the merchant asked, "Do you swear by Allat and Al-Uzza?" Allat and Al-Uzza are 2 idols of Quraysh. The Prophet replied, "I have never worshipped them, so why should I swear by them?" Maysara further observed that throughout the journey, Muhammad never bowed to an idol. When Khadijah heard all this, her admiration for the prophets grew even more, as she too never worshipped idols. At that time, Khadijah was 40 years old and Muhammad was 25. But despite the 50 years age difference, Muhammad's wisdom and maturity far exceeded his years. If you have made it this far in the video, it means you're enjoying the story. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support me in sharing more content, inshallah. Let's come back to our story. One evening, Khadijah was sitting with her friend Nafisa, the daughter of Al-Munabbih, and they started talking about Muhammad. As Khadijah spoke of her admiration for his character, honesty and intelligence, Nafisa, being clever, noticed that Khadijah's admiration had grown into love and a desire to marry him. Nafisa asked Khadijah, "Would you like me to speak with Muhammad?" Khadijah, also wise and perceptive, asked, "What would you say to him?" She knew her friend was referring to marriage, but she didn't want to seem too eager. Nafisa replied, "I will speak to him about marrying you." Khadijah agreed and Nafisa went to Muhammad. Instead of saying that Khadijah had sent her, Nafisa asked Muhammad, "Are you married?" But she knew well that he was not. Muhammad replied, "No, I am not." Then she asked, "Why not?" He responded, "How can I marry when I am a poor, without wealth or a house? And who would marry me?" Nafisa replied, "What about Khadijah?" Surprised, Muhammad asked, "Would she agree to marry me?" Nafisa assured him she would speak to her. Shortly after, Nafisa returned to Khadijah with the good news that Muhammad had agreed to marry her, and the marriage took place. But it's important to note that this wasn't a quick decision. When the Prophet started working for Khadijah, he was 22 years old, and they married when he was 25. These 3 years were a period of testing and understanding for Khadijah to observe the Prophet's character. Also, Khadijah had been married twice before, with children from those marriages. She chose Muhammad for his morals, honesty, and integrity. She preferred his character over wealth and status. Even though many of the wealthiest and the most powerful men in Quraysh had sought her hand in marriage, Khadijah lived with the Prophet for 25 years, 15 years before the revelation and 10 years afterward. She bore him 2 sons and 4 daughters, and was the first to believe in him when he received the message of Islam. She stood by him during the early days of his mission, providing unwavering support and patience through the hardships they faced. Even Jibril, peace be upon him, said to the Prophet, "This is Khadijah. I convey to her the greeting of her Lord." And he ordered him to give her the good news of a house in paradise made of pearls, in which there is neither noise nor fatigue, meaning made of hollow pearls, spacious like a palace, in which there is neither fatigue nor loud voices. The Prophet loved Khadijah deeply. Even after her death, he never forgot her. He didn't marry any other woman during her lifetime because of his love for her and her place in his heart. Aisha, his third wife, later said, "I was never as jealous of any woman as I was of Khadijah, even though I never met her, because of how often the Prophet spoke of her." The Prophet continued to honor Khadijah's memory, treating her friend with kindness and cherishing their bond long after her passing. Khadijah passed away at the age 65 when the Prophet was 50 years old. Through this story, we learn that the Prophet Muhammad didn't marry multiple wives out of desire or lust, as some may claim. If that had been the case, he would have done so in his youth when he was at the peak of his vitality. But each of his marriages served a specific purpose related to his mission of spreading Islam. In a future video, I will share the story behind each of the Prophet's marriages, inshallah. If you enjoyed today's story, please share your thought with me in the comment section, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be updated when future episodes are released. See you in the next video. May you remain under Allah's protection.